Okay, got the computer plugged back in and we're good to go. So that was a Marshall distribution that we just hit. Again, margins. The margins are on the outside and totals are on the outside. So that's what we got to think when we see a Marshall distribution. It's percentages of totals. Okay, so it's either going to be totals of one of the variables or the other. Now we have to segue from that into a conditional distribution. So now we're working at the keyword conditional. So that means that we're going to add some type of condition, so that because there are two sets. So a condition, the conditional distribution of a variable describes the values of what that variable among individuals who have a specific value of another variable. There are two sets of conditional distributions for a two-way table, one for the column and one for the row. So in this particular case, we're going to look at your Fortnite habits based upon your gender. So we're going to see if males and females play differently at that. If we flipped it around the other way, we would be looking at the gender. So of all the people that never play Fortnite, what portion were male and what portion were female? So that would be how we look at it the other way. So we're going to select the interest the way we want it, which is that case. So I just to quickly help me out here, I have 96 males. We have 426 once a week. We have 896, and we have 486 in the everyday, and we have a total of 1904. Okay, so just to help us out, not that I should that was not, those are tiny numbers. I'm sorry. I was trying to save space because we got to figure out what this division is. So if I take 96 and I divide it by 1904, that's going to give me a 5%. Okay, if I take 426 and I divide it by 1904, that's going to give me a 22%. And then if I take 896 divided by 1904, that's going to give me a 47. And I don't think I have to keep doing that, so I'll just fill in the other one. It rolls in here at 26%. Okay. If I do the females, again, to help me out in the female chart, there were 98. There were 286. There were 720. 597. For a grand total of 1701. Okay. So if we went ahead and divided that, if we took 98 divided by 1701, that's going to tell me that there's also 5% of the females never play Fortnite. And again, I think we're past probably what I had to keep describing and filling out this chart. So we're just going to go ahead and fill it out as we go. All right. So we have made, so it wants us to create then a segmented bar graph or a side-by-side bar graph. Okay, so again, we're going to do that. So we have to, my chart, I'm going to have a bar for males, and we're going to have a bar for females. And that bar represents 100% of everything. Okay, so that means that we need to estimate where we have things at here. So I'm going to say in here is the 50% mark, half of that is the 25% mark, half of the above, well, I can't talk, 75%. So roughly that's where we're at. So we said 5% never. So we're going to come down in here and estimate where 5% is, and this is going to be never. And then we're going to add 5 and 22 together to get 27. So we're going to approximate where 27% is, and this is going to be once. And then we're going to add, where were we at? I've already forgotten. That's why we keep it running total helps. 5 and 22 give me 27. That's what we marked already. So now we're going to add 27 and that 47 together. So that's going to give me a 74. So up here at the 74% mark, this is going to be twice. And then that means the rest is going to be left for every day. So now we're going to come over here and do the same thing for females. We started with 5. We added 17 to that, get 22. So at the 5% mark, that's never. At the 22%, this is going to be once. We're going to add 42 to this. So that's going to give me a 64. So that's going to give me twice. and then that's going to be my leftover for daily. Okay. So we have created to compare. Now, here's what's going to happen as far as when we see this. There's a typical question that always comes with this particular style, and that is, are the variables independent? Is gender independent of my gaming habits? Okay. And if something is truly independent, that means that my gender, does that have an impact on my frequency of playing Fortnite? Okay. So we can see because females pay once a week, 22% of males do, but 17% of females do. So that right there tells me they're not the same. So if gender had nothing to do with my Fortnite habits, then I'm going to see the same exact percentages all the way through there. So 5 and 5 is good. However, this is 22 and this is 17. So that automatically throws off the rest of my totals, and therefore they are not independent. Okay. The percentage of subgroups are not equal, and that's all we have to put in. Okay, and a little bit of that's a little bit too short a version, but that's really what we're going to do there as far as they are not equal. Okay, all right, looks like we have a couple more examples to do. So that was page 4. Okay, so now we're going to come back here and do page number 3. A study that followed a random sample of 12,986 people concluded that the people who get angry easier tend to have chronic heart disease. Does the data support the conclusion of the study? Okay, so basically we want to see, does their anger have an impact on coronary heart disease? Okay, so if we take 53 and we divide that by 310, this is gonna, so of the people that have low anger, okay, 1.7% have coronary heart disease. We found that dividing by 3110. If I took 3057 and divided it by 3110, that means that 98.3% don't have coronary heart disease. If I flip into a moderate, so it is being moderately angry, does that affect my coronary heart disease? So to cut to the chase, I won't draw that in there, but that's 2.3%, and so that means the other one is 97.7%. If you're a high anger person, 4.3% have coronary heart disease, and 95.7 do not. So the question is, does these data support the conclusion of the study? And they concluded that people who get angry easier tend to have coronary heart disease. And my answer is going to be yes, because I can see that my level of coronary heart disease increases as my level of anger increases. So, yes, the data does support a higher coronary heart disease in easily angered people. Now, I would love to say that, hey, that's our best, that's a good answer, makes sense. However, we have to explain it. We have to explain it with the numbers. Okay, so, I mean, 1.7% of the low anger people of a low anger group suffered coronary heart disease, and it rose to 4.3% for the high anger group. So in a good answer, we're going to have to include some numbers, which, well, yes, we calculated up there, but that's leaving the grader to infer where you got your answer from. So we need to point out exactly what is justifying our answer of yes, the data does support. Okay. All right, one more example here, and we'll call this one a video. A random sample of 415 children aged 9 through 17 from the UK and the US were completed a survey. Each student's country of origin was recorded along with which Marvel superhero they would like to be friends with. The data is shown below. Find the conditional distributions of superpower preference among the students from each country. So from each country, we're figuring out what proportion liked each superhero. So therefore, it's a conditional distribution. If it asked me for marginal, I'd have to do some totals here to find that out. Okay. But we do have to have some totals, so we would have to add all these together, and we're going to find out that there are 200 from the UK, and we're going to add those together. We're going to get 215 from the US. So we have those. Okay, so that means we're going to take this and divide it by 200, and that gives me a 27. So the following is a 26. And again, I think we can understand where that comes from. So I'm just going to, move the paper so you can actually see what I'm writing. Good gravy. All right, so there's a 12, there's a 9, and there's a 12. We're going to divide by 215 over here. And so we have a 21, a 20, a 17, an 11, a 17, and a 14. Okay, so there's where we're sitting. Making a find the conditional distribution of superpower preference. So we have found the conditional distribution. That is, we have done what they asked for, and now it says it wants us to make an appropriate graph to compare the distribution. So we're going to make and this is where that segmented bar graph comes in. Could also be a pie graph, but I just making those is extra work. All right. So 50 is roughly in the middle. So we're going to mark 25 there and 75 there, and that gives us some stuff to go off of. Okay. So we're going to start out with UK, 27% Iron Man. So we're going to estimate where 27 is, and this is Iron Man. We're going to add 27 and 26 together. That's going to give me a 53. So out here to the side, what happened? My video locked up. Does that mean well, it looks like my video is still flowing. I don't know what the deal is. All right, video locked up. Pause.